Hey there, Fletch from All Things Overlanding here, and today I've got Gary from G from BC with me, my buddy from Canada. Welcome, Gary.
What's up? What's up, everybody?
Glad to have you. And we are going to talk about a topic that I've kind of touched on before, but the older I get and the more that I start to see problems with, my old rigs that I've got, the more I've kind of started to consider the pros and cons of old versus new vehicles. So today, Gary and I are going to talk about old versus new vehicles, our experiences that we've had, and kind of where we land on that topic. So if you want to learn more about, our thoughts on new versus old vehicles, stay tuned. All right, so as I mentioned in the intro, today I'm with Gary from the YouTube channel G from BC. Glad to have you, Gary. And we are going to be talking about old versus new vehicles. I'm going to let Gary kind of go first because he's my guest and kind of talk about his experience with what vehicles he's had and kind of the pros that he's seen of the older ones versus the newer ones. We're just going to make it really conversational, right? Kind of talking about our experiences and kind of our thoughts on new versus old vehicles. So Gary, kind of for the folks that don't know, I know you've had a ton of vehicles, so kind of walk us through your history of overlanding vehicles, if you will.
When it comes to vehicles, I actually started off with the whole channel. Actually, I started off with my old F1, a 2008 F-150
Yep.
that I used around for a little bit. After that, I wanted to adventure more, so I decided to go with a Jeep. Actually,
Nice.
before the Jeep, if the Bronco wasn't, the production didn't take forever, I probably would have ended up with a Bronco.
Yeah.
But I ended up with a Jeep because I got a good offer for the vehicle.
Yeah.
Traded in my 2008 Honda Civic Si for that.
Nice. It's a big switch.
I know. From reliability to vehicle that,
Shh,
that,
Jeep
that,
people, cover your ears.
I know. For me, I love my Jeep, but I'm being honest with problems, of course, right?
Yeah.
Reliability wise. But anyways, got an offer for a Rubicon JK
Nice.
2017, and I got it. Comparing it to my F-150 and the Jeep, it had the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Like lockers, what was it? A sway bar disconnect.
Nice.
Had everything. Also came with a aftermarket bumper, all that stuff in it already. So I saved a bit of money.
Nice.
So personally, for me, I'm always looking for a deal. That's kind of the best
I'm
thing
there with
to
you.
do. Yeah, and then fast forward to last year, I decided to, since gas for some reason here in Canada is just way too crazy.
Yeah.
Decided to trade in, and this is for the Nissan fans here, which sucks because I love this vehicle and I didn't want to get rid of it, but I wasn't using it as much. I had a 370Z.
Yeah.
That
That's sad for you.
Yeah, I gave it to myself for my 35th birthday,
Nice.
and it was so sad. You don't understand. Me driving it, it was a sad day.
Oh, I understand. I had a 350Z for a while and a Datsun 240Z, and all those are gone. I don't have those anymore.
One of these days, I'm going to get back a 370Z. I need
Yeah.
to build one of those ones for sure.
Yeah.
But traded it in for a hybrid. I got a 2019 RAV4 hybrid.
Nice. Yeah.
One of the higher trims, which is the XSE. Comparing that to both of my other vehicles, the truck and the Jeep, technology is just way too crazy. I mean, I'm loving all the bells and whistles on that, and I thought the Jeep was good.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, the RAV4 just blew my mind with everything that they had there. You had Apple CarPlay already, has lane assist, all that stuff that you need to, look for in a vehicle. It was already there, and I only had to put regular gas, so it's awesome.
Yeah. And you get what's your MPG on that thing?
I don't know about MPG, but I only fill up every 2 weeks, so
Yeah. So it's good.
I'm not complaining.
It's good. And it's a Toyota, so it's reliable. You don't have to worry about it.
That's why it's a daily, right? And
Yeah.
that's why, honestly, that's it kind of worked out for me because then now the Jeep's just mainly for the adventure vehicling, and I don't actually use the truck as much anymore. But when we try to haul stuff, I still use it here and there.
It's nice to have the bed.
Yeah. How about you, Fletch?
No, that makes perfect sense. Your setup makes sense. Mine is a similar trajectory, right? Like God, when was it? Was like 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago, when I was at that time leasing a Honda Accord Sport. So kind of the same. It had a CVT. It was four-cylinder. It wasn't quite an SI, but even the SIs aren't all that fast, right? But they're good, reliable cars. But it was a good car. Got great gas mileage, but it was boring. So I was like, you know what? This is the last time I'm leasing a car. This is the last four-cylinder Honda I'm gonna get. Like, I want something that's brawny and beefy. I'd had a Cherokee, an XJ Cherokee before. Loved that thing. Bought it for like $4,000 and put suspension on it, and then just wheeled it for like 4 years. It was great. But then I had that and the Datsun 240Z. So I had two, irresponsible cars, and we found out we were pregnant with my kid. And I'm like, listen, honey, I'm going to be responsible now that my Honda lease is up. I got leased the Honda to be responsible. And then I was like, I'm going to be responsible, but a little less responsible. And I got the Xterra. And so I was like, I need to off-road again, but I'm a Nissan guy. The only option is an Xterra. Like, that's it. The Frontiers were like $3,000 to $5,000 more for like same trim, same mileage as an Xterra. I was like, look, I'm just going to buy this cheap Xterra. So I bought that Xterra for like $7,000, had it for 5 years, put 50,000 miles on it, modded it, took it all over the place, started the channel with it. And loved that truck. It was amazing. I kind of still to this day regret getting rid of it. But then at one point, I finally just beat the bejesus out of it for like 4 or 5 years. And finally, they were like, I took it to a shop because I was like, I don't want to do all this by myself. And they're like, it will be $1 million to fix this. And I was like, that's not worth it. That's almost as much as I paid for the truck 5 years ago. Like, I'm just going to get something else. And so then I got my Frontier. And the Frontier's fully built and tight and swapped and on 35s. And I was like, this is it. Like, I need that super aggressive, crazy, aspirational build stuff. And then on my way home, it broke. And then, like, I fixed it. And then, like, a few months later, it broke. And then I fixed it. And, like, now it's like, it's just one of those things where, like, I don't know if I can trust it, So, like, I've always been a huge proponent of, like, hey, older is better. It's so much cheaper and stuff. And there is some wisdom to that if you get a good one and if you know the history of it. But, like, it's a crapshoot, So, exactly. So that's kind of where I am. But I've got that in the Lexus right now. But then, like, I was telling you this story earlier, but like one day I went out and I usually keep the Lexus on a trickle charger, and I forgot to put it on for like a week, and the Lexus wouldn't start. And I had to go pick my kid up, and then I went out to the truck, and it wouldn't start. And I'm like, I was super mad. I had to take my wife's car, and then I had to figure out what the heck is going on, jumpstart both the cars and move them and do all this stuff. And so now I'm kind of, I hate to say it, but now I'm kind of like, you know what? Maybe I just need to do something because these two cars are junk. So who knows? I don't know what's going to happen, right? But like, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it because it is becoming a problem. And I've got big trips coming up that make me really nervous to run something like that for that long.
You can always, go back to getting a Maverick again. I'm just kidding.
I could go buy your 370Z, lift it, put 33s on it.
No. Yeah, why not? All it needs to do is just some jumps,
I mean, I was wheeling the Lexus for a while, taking it camping, So yeah, but so now that we've kind of talked about our histories and stuff, and people know kind of where we're coming from, tell me like so you've still got your Jeep and you've got your truck, and then you've got the nice new daily that's reliable and it's an SUV, so it's big and stuff. Like, what are your plans, I guess? Like, obviously it sounds like you're pretty well set up for now. Like, are you planning to like change things up in the near future? Or are you just going to keep rocking the Jeep? What are you thinking?
Honestly, for me, when it comes to the RAV4, I think I'm going to be keeping for a long time just because it is the daily. But, I'm a car guy, so I have to do something with it, like a vehicle, right? So I think I mentioned this on my video as well, too. Thinking of lifting it, adding some all-terrain tires, just because I plan to actually take it on some shorter trips. Thinking to, like, since I also need to actually replace the tires, so I was just thinking, I'm like, okay, might as well just get some all-terrains, perfect for winter and everything else. And like something that I can take where I don't necessarily need to go to a dispersed area compared to the Jeep, right? So that's something to think about, and to modify, maybe just some tires.
Lightly modify it.
Yeah, just keep it a soft roader,
Yeah.
and as much as possible at daily rate.
Yeah.
Jeep, honestly, very happy with how it looks like already. I just want to keep it maintained and not have to modify too crazy on it.
Yeah.
I think the only modification I'm thinking of doing, which is I'm gonna actually end up starting soon once the weather's a lot more, suitable for modifications, right? So I'm thinking of adding a sleeping platform inside my Jeep, because
Ooh.
I typically just go on trips by myself.
Sure.
Like it'd be cool to get a rooftop tent, but the Jeep's already top heavy enough,
Yeah.
and I sleep by myself. I'd rather be sleeping inside my rig anyways.
Yeah.
And I don't carry too much. I'm a single guy, so I don't carry too much. So building a platform not too heavy so that I'm not using up too much gas.
Yeah.
Drive, since
right.
pretty all my stuff in the Jeep is pretty heavy already, from the tires, because I run 35s, to my rear bumper being steel. I don't want to have to deal with gas anymore.
Yeah.
F-150, honestly, nothing really. It's become like more of a work truck. I'll take it out in some trails here and there that I know that the truck can handle. But probably if honestly, if I just want to do a build, I'll probably do a canopy build, or save up for a camper, because I'd like to get into hunting as well too, right?
That's cool.
Some Canadian things,
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. I'm torn too, right? Like on my side, where I'm like, I love the like totally dedicated build of the truck, right? Like I love how capable it is. But then I really think about it, like that's why I was fascinated, and for those of you that maybe haven't seen my channel before or not, whatnot, like I had ordered a Maverick over a year ago, a Ford Maverick, because to Gary's point, it's kind of like his Highlander, it's like this small light duty truck that could still do all the gravel roads and the, Forest Service roads and like a lot of the stuff that we do. I mean, when I really think about that capability of my truck, only in the last year and a half, I've been on 2 trips where I really needed all that capability, and that was Land Between the Lakes and Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway. And it's because we went on like the most aggressive trip, like water up past my Nissan logo on the grill, like stupid stuff where like I actually came out with like a bent shock mount, and I bogged down my engine and blew my cats out and like had to limp it home, and like stupid stuff that really isn't overlanding and isn't really my cup of tea anyways.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my head is at, right? And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but it's one of those things where I'm, every time that the truck doesn't start up, like you said, like there's, they sit around, you just need to maintain them. Like it's not like a new vehicle that you can just like park outside for a week and go out and it just starts up. Like you got all these auxiliary power things on it and all this stuff plugged into it and all these mods and everything. And then it's like, if I let it sit for 3 days, sometimes I go out and battery's dead. I mean, I replaced.
And that was my problem too with both the Jeep and my F-150. I left it out there, and the battery just.
And that's not a cheap thing.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so that's kind of where my head is at now, is where I'm like, I love the capability of this rig and stuff, but even like this Canada trip that I've got coming up in July, it's like, it's distance and it's like reliability is what I need. I mean, I could do it in a Prius, but I need it to be reliable and not break. And if my truck breaks up in Canada, like it could cost thousands of dollars and it could ruin days of the trip for me and other people on the expedition and stuff. And so that's where it's making me think a little bit. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do, but it's making me think. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, but so let's kind of wrap it up here for this one. Give me, Gary, like your thoughts, like new versus old for overlanding, right? Like if we think about it from overlanding, now you're in Canada, so you actually do have cool trails and stuff. I'm in the Midwest in Indiana, so I'm in a little bit different situation, but like, could you make it with a Highlander up there and actually go to some of the places you wanted to? Or like, what are your thoughts on like new soft roader in your case versus like dedicated rig? And it could be your answer, right? That like you're going to keep both and that's the best thing, but you just tell me your kind of final thoughts.
Well, one thing, I don't drive a Highlander, I drive a
RAV4. RAV4, sorry. Same thing to me. They're all the same.
They're all the same.
Yeah, it's just a little longer, the Highlander.
So for the RAV4, I think you can still have a good trip with the RAV4, depending on what you're looking for, right? Like for me, honestly, especially since pandemic's pretty much over, and COVID is like somewhat everything is kind of opened up.
Yeah,
you can actually just take your vehicle. Like I'll mention it here. I'm thinking of doing the Olympic Peninsula trip with just my RAV4, and then taking the Oregon coast down driving there, and I'm just taking my RAV4.
Awesome.
Trips like that is perfect. Like you can take any vehicle to go overlanding and trip. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, like your videos, you show it. You've driven your Lexus. You
into the woods.
You take in a few vehicles that aren't supposed to go camping. Like, I mean, you can do whatever you want for overlanding or car camping.
Yeah, you can turn around if you hit a big obstacle. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to disperse areas where you need to be self-sufficient, of course, you got to go with a more, capable vehicle. But if you're just gonna go to I don't know, Yellowstone or any of those places that is drivable by a vehicle, I think you don't necessarily need to.
Yeah.
But personally, I like to go to places that not a lot of people go to. A lot of the group that I'm with, like my group of friends, we try to stay away from people as much as possible. And that's the whole point of doing overlanding anyways, right?
Right.
Just get away from people.
At least in my opinion.
And go to places that, they wouldn't go, right? Regular people would go, right? So, but I think safest bet is if you are just doing a RAV4, like for example, for myself, RAV4, I can drive to any places that national forest or state forest you can go visit, or just drive through places that is easy enough. Mind you, like here in BC, I think it's more balls than brains sometimes. Because some people take they've taken their Tesla up there, and I'm just like, you're crazy.
Yeah. It's like Matt's off-road recovery or something over there.
Good luck if you lose battery halfway through the Forest Service Road, right? So yeah, I think that's basically how I see it. Like you can take any vehicle you want, but it all depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree with you. My kind of final thoughts, I think, are I'm similar in that. Like that's why I had like the big old built Frontier and I wanted a Maverick, right? And then I caved and I bought the Lexus because it was a lot cheaper and the Maverick was taking forever and I just wanted to have something as a backup car. But now looking back at that, it's been 7-8 months that I've had the Lexus and the truck, and both of them are old, and like I said, both of them sometimes don't start and stuff. Now I'm kind of leaning towards like I still am more of like I want to do like the Ozarks and I want to do Idaho and I want to do like more of these aggressive trails. But I also realize that I don't have to have like the most custom like Titan. So you don't have to take full size components out of a full size Titan and swap it into it to get I made that video a while ago that's like you shouldn't Titan swap your vehicle for overlanding. And I got lit up for it. Everyone's like, you're an idiot. And I'm like, I literally could have done almost everything that I've done in my truck, except maybe like 2% of my trips with a stock Frontier, So that's kind of where I'm leaning is like, I just want to not have to mess with it all the time. Like I love modifying vehicles and stuff, but the older I get, the less cheap I am, the less I want to like just literally do it. Right now, my GMRS mount is the stock one that comes with it with 2 screws screwed into my dashboard. That's what it is. Cause I was like, that came with it. This is what I'm going to use. Like if I got a new truck or something, I'd probably use like one of those really nice magnetic mounts for my GMRS rate. Like I'm going to like put more time and effort in it. So I think at some point down the road, I will probably get like a newer vehicle, but I still want it to be capable where I could eventually build it to have a few inches of lift and maybe 33-inch, RT tires like Kenda's that I love, that kind of thing where I could still build it, but like a more mature build, have that combination of like newness, reliability, features, luxuries, but also like capability and, the ability to go to these places that I want. And all the newer vehicles get better gas mileage than all these old ones. So that's a pro.
They honestly do. And plus, as you get older, time is money. And that's part of the thing that I'm trying to just do with my Jeep. It's just, I want to keep it maintained. I just want to go on adventures. I don't want to have to worry about nothing. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Even though, Jeep things, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's like, I've missed a few trips recently. I missed Core last year. Not only did I lose a few $100 on that because I bought my ticket, we rented a hotel room and stuff that we couldn't cancel that late. And like, it was the day of that I found out the truck was broken, right? So like I've missed, it's like the experience stuff too. So that's kind of where my head is at, where I'm like, the more that I miss this stuff, like with more expo coming up in a few weeks, I'm like, what if something breaks on the truck again?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what am I going to do? So that's where my head is at. So yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards newer cars, but there's pros and cons of both for sure. But Yeah, I think this was a great conversation. So thanks, Gary, again for coming on. I appreciate it. It was good chatting with you.
It was awesome. Definitely, Fletch.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait for another conversation with you.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you that are watching that are on my channel and stuff, if you don't know about Gary's channel, I will put a link in the description down below. Definitely go check him out. Awesome content. Better than mine, I would argue, in a lot of ways.
There's no way. No.
He's in Canada, so like just by default, your trip videos are better already. You know.
If you guys like Story Till Now's videos and like the better videos from the Canadian creators here, I'm like a tier 2, 3 tier down that way. So if you guys want that type of videos,
nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Super self-deprecating. I like it. But so yeah, definitely go down in the description. Check out Gary's channel because he's awesome, right? Like we've gotten to know each other through YouTube over the last year and a half or so, probably, and just hit it off. Great dude. So definitely check him out. Check out his channel. Of course, in the description below will be all the other stuff, right? All my social channels, wherever you want to come hang out. I'd love to have you. Links to Patreon if you want to join that. We've got a Discord going. It's growing a little bit every month, and it's a great group of folks that just chat about their rigs and mods and gear and that kind of thing. And it's a lot of fun. So totally optional, but if you want to do that, I'd love to have you. And then last but not least, the Newbie Overlanders group. Totally free to join, Facebook group. Over 12,000 members now. It's huge, but it's different from the big groups. Like, I'm going to kick out people that are jerks. So if you're a jerk, you're just not going to be in the group. So if you're tired of that, come on.
I'm a witness of this. I saw Fletch kick out some people. So.
I kicked out a guy the other day. Yeah, very publicly. So we'd love to have you over there as well. But again, thanks to Gary for being on, and thank you all for watching or listening if you're on the podcast. And if you're on YouTube and you're not already, click that subscribe button, click the bell to be notified when new videos drop. Do a couple every week. So I'd love to have you. But yeah, hope that you enjoyed that. Hope it was helpful, and we will see you next time.